Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Mr. Chair.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Any additions, or deletions to the agenda?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair.
I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Got a motion, I need a second.
Second.
I got a second, any more discussion? If not, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Approval of the consent agenda. Gentlemen, this will be a roll call. Is there anything that you'd like to have removed from this consent agenda? Otherwise, I'll go down and I'll ask for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, I got a motion, I need a second.
Second, or go ahead, Bob.
I have a motion and a second, any more discussion? This is a roll call. Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
Aye.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Myself is aye. Motion carried. Moving right along. Administrators report. I believe we have some guests here.
We do, Mr. Chair. The first item on the administrator's report is a resolution to set the 2025 commissioner salaries. This resolution comes before the board annually. This is in conjunction with and supports the setting of our 2025 budget later this month. Before you in your packet, there are two resolutions. One applies a 3% COLA to the commissioner's salary. The second is no change to the commissioner's salary from 2024 to 2025. And as a reminder, in 2024, there was no increase to the commissioner's salary from 2023.
Gentlemen, I gotta find my resolution here. Okay, gentlemen, I will ask for a motion. I can't find it in front of me, let's see. Or should we read the salaries, the resolution? No, do we need the resolution read, gentlemen? If not, all right, I'll ask for a motion for the 3%. I think that's the correct way, as for next year for the commissioner's salary. We did have a discussion about this. So again, I will ask for a motion for the 3% increase for 2025.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, I need a second.
I can second it,
I have a second. Again, this will be a roll call vote. So I will start with Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Oh yeah, any
Mr.
more
Chair?
discussion? Yes, please. Oh, I thought you said,
I have none, but I'm just,
okay, yeah, because I brought up that we did discuss this.
yeah, and we did, but nonetheless.
Okay, so any more discussion? All right, I'll ask for a motion. I got a second. This will be a roll call vote. Commissioner Casper.
Aye.
Commissioner Blaine.
No.
Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lemire.
No.
Myself is aye. Motion carried.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the second item on the administrative report involves our Veteran Service Office and officers. So I'd invite Chris to come forward.
You can bring your other ones with too if they'd like. Okay. We got plenty of chairs up here. We're not gonna leave them out there.
In fact, if you have anybody else, we've got 4 chairs, so you can bring somebody else in.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Go ahead and state your name and tell us what you have for us this morning.
Good morning. My name is Christina Vonberg, and I'm in the Veteran Service Office, and I have a couple of requests this morning. All right. Mr. Chair and Commissioners, I've been in the Morrison County Veteran Service Office for about 2.3 so far, so 2 years and 3 or 4 months. And we are looking at doing a restructure. And so my request today is a restructure proposal. And I have with me Luann Jarvis. She's currently the case aide. And over to my left, your right, I have Jim Siegler. He's currently the Administrative Assistant 1. And so today's restructure proposal would be to request to increase the current, I work 30 hours a week, 0.75 case aide position to a full-time Assistant County Veteran Service Officer 2, full-time. Currently it is 0.75. The request is to bring it to a full-time position. And the second request on the reclassification is the Administrative Assistant 1 to the Assistant Veteran Service Officer 1. And so it is a title change for both positions, and also a .75 to a 1.0 full-time position. So it's just an increase of .25.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions for our VSO? If not, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Just a
Mayor.
couple questions.
Go ahead.
Did you figure the .25 in the budget? And how do we, if not, how do you expect to pay for it?
The .25 in the budget, Luann is capped out at a max right now, and so whomever moves into that position won't be at the top level, whereas she has been here for almost 20 years. So the decrease is very minor, and I do have a slide that has some of the dollar amounts on.
Perfect.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Zensky.
I'm very clear as to what the position is, very clear, and there is not a doubt in my mind that this position has been a three-quarter-time position for years and years and years, and perhaps, maybe last year, maybe the year before, maybe 5 years ago, it could have easily have been a full-time position. Not for me to say, for the director to say, perhaps, but whatever, and that's what we're here talking about today. My question is this levy money for the veteran service officer, or is there a pot of money that comes to us from, I don't know, the federal government to fund this program? I realize what the program is and that we need to have it. I support it fully, but I don't know the answer to the question. Where does the money come from? Does it come from levy money? I don't know that.
Commissioner, the money does come from levied taxes on the Morrison County public. And I don't know what year the Morrison County Veterans Service Office started, but the annual budget is $234,000 and change
Okay.
as it stands currently.
Okay, very good. That's what I needed, and thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Chris, did you want to show us your additional slide about the dollar to Commissioner Lemire, or are you good with that?
It's the third slide back. Would you like to just continue, or should I
Yeah,
change
please
it?
continue.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'd like to share with you the blue and the red. We have an increase in actions, and I chose 2019 to show veterans' actions versus 2024, because that's pre-COVID. So everything was flowing 2019. Different programs have been put into place, different procedures, different ways to process claims. And so since we've moved to 2024, that number looks enormous at 63%. It is enormous. We are helping one veteran at a time to include their families and other people. So I wanted to show the difference in the 5-year period. And the VA and Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs are amazing with all the new programs, which opens the door for a ton of stuff for the veterans. And that is another reason for all the increased actions. Next slide.
Continue, yep.
Just a quick question, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Casper.
What about, how were the years 20 through 23? I'm curious, were they way down because of COVID, or?
They were a little wonky. It has maintained, but the MDVA, Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, has just increased all the resources and the programs. Example, if a veteran came in and said, "Hi, I never did a claim before. I would like to do a claim. I'm a Vietnam veteran." They can come in and we do a claim for them. The claim returns. They may say, "Oh, and now I have another medical illness because of that." That's another claim. They're just learning about the programs now, and so education is a huge reason that we are just slammed with people. But I do love helping one veteran at a time, but they're learning so much about the eligible benefits that they can have, and our job is to help them through all of them. Does that make any sense? It's just a wide variety of items we help with.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and this slide here, you can see. But some of the new legislation, we talked about it before, but that toxic exposure recognition, we have something called a PACT Act and a TARA. And anybody who's exposed to anything now has eligibility at the VA. So that has increased many veterans coming in the door. And when I say post 9/11 veterans, we remember 9/11, those people joined over 20 years ago. Now those are the second wave of people, kind of like the baby boomers. Here they come, and now they're eligible for different benefits as well. And the aging veteran population, I didn't know if you were aware of this, but I found it interesting as I started working here. Let's pretend I have diabetes and I am 50 years old and I got service connected because I had diabetes while I was in the military, but other things have happened. Maybe now I can't see. Maybe now I have acid reflux, whatever my little issues may be, neuropathy. Now I can do another claim. And the VSO office, the Veteran Service Office, we would help that person continue as they get older and their medical conditions change. They come back in and they are our customer over and over. A few other things, the expanded coverage and emphasis on mental health is a huge impact. Unfortunately, we are losing veterans to suicide, and we get a lot of walk-ins at our office, and we take care of them when they come in. We prioritize them, and we make sure if you are at risk and you're homeless and you have any mental health conditions, they take priority. And so that number has grown in the last 2 years that I have been here, exponentially. And then increasing grant funding, I'd just like to share with you. I mentioned all the programs and the resources that the veterans have. The education that they now understand that there are some dollars, and it comes from Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs, and those help the veterans stay in their home as they get older or they have a need. And so not everyone is eligible for these things, but the grant programs are amazing. They take a little bit of work, but we're getting pretty good at them. So Morrison County, I believe, is 4th out of the state of Minnesota for giving the grants back to the veterans for Morrison County. Any questions on those slides, gentlemen?
Nope, please continue.
Okay. All right, we're almost to the one that talks about the dollars. So this next slide impacts the increasing of the .75 K-SAVE position to a full-time County Assistant Veteran Service Officer 2. And currently, we did all the math with the numbers that we push out for actions. And when I say veteran actions, that kind of covers everything. That is a claim, that is a burial, that is an education. So currently, we're doing smooth 10 actions per day. And the people that do the actions right now are the only 2 positions, the full-time CVSO and the case aide, and she is the .75. So between our 2 positions, we do 10 actions a day. That means packets, that means a lot of different things helping veterans. And so, as the administrative assistant, then you're not really supposed to be doing that. So Jim is at the front counter being really great to people, and he's given them to us or putting them on our calendar so we can help them in a timely manner as soon as we have vacancies. And then if we are allowed to go from the .75 to the 1.0 position, we can smoothly make that 15 transactions per day. And if you also allow the restructure and the position descriptions to be an assistant CVSO 1 and 2, that person, who is now over here as the administrative assistant 1, this position will be able to access VA records if someone comes to the window and says, I need a DD-214, I need something from the VA. Currently, right now, this position cannot get to the higher level records at the VA with what they have for authorization. So that is another request. The reason all veteran service offices are moving towards the assistant CVSO as a title, because that will authorize them access to the higher level VA systems to help every veteran, and they will also get the correct training. Right now, I'm the only one authorized to go to some of the training to help the veterans, and so I have to come back and train the folks, but nobody is authorized. Position 1 and 2 are not authorized to attend the same training as a VSO.
If I may, Chris, you're saying that it'll move it from 10 per day. I'm assuming that's walk-ins, correct?
Negative appointments and walk-ins, sir.
Well, okay. So where do those other 5 go if you can move it up to 15? Right now at 10, are you moving them out? I mean, eventually it could be out 2-3 years. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So where do they go, or do you eventually catch up because you have downtime?
I don't have downtime. Okay, eventually. Sure.
If you go from 10 to 15.
Not yet.
See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's because the fact that you must catch up. You can't just put somebody out there for a year to get in. See what I'm saying?
Correct.
Okay, so how do you pick them additional 5 people?
We will use that. Right now, we kind of have I would say we're completing all our backlogs. And so since this PACT Act and the TARA and the new amount of veterans we have coming in, we have a system. You're allowed to work with a veteran for up to 1 year and submit their claims. So you submit their claims within a year, and it sounds like a long time, but these are VA rules. And so if someone comes in and says, I need you tomorrow, we say, I have a spot for you in 45 days. This is what I want you to get together, and we will put you on the calendar. And so those folks continually stack up. We get the call-ins. We do appointments on the phone now as well. And I feel like the 15 per day with the 2 people, once that backlog is completed, is a good number. It was actually at 486 rather than the 500 annually, but it's just a couple of people. And we help everyone that comes in, but we are pushing them out quite a bit. And it's, it's making people feel a little less valued, and we try very hard to make sure everybody knows that we help veterans one at a time.
And again, with the veterans, if I live in Todd County, let's say, I can come here if I want, but are you gonna send them back over to Todd County? Cause maybe they don't like that veteran VSO or whatever. Does that happen here too, or yes, no?
Yes, and I'm sure people do the same and say, I don't like Morrison County. We don't know what that really looks like. But if a veteran comes to our door and says, hi, I'm from another county, I don't like my person, and I say, oh, why don't you? It's a good way to screen what they're not happy with, because we surely don't want to replicate the same thing. And then we have open communications with all the other veteran service offices. So I would pick up the phone and say, hey, other veteran service office, do you have this customer? Yep, and we'll talk it out because they do the same thing I do. And then if that person really says, I just don't want to go there, I will have that discussion and then we'll find time. But I would never bump somebody who's already on the calendar. I would never put a Morrison County veteran out further. And so Morrison County is first.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
Sure.
And moving ahead with this, again, if they don't like somebody, but maybe, again, and I'll use Todd County just for some reason, I can use Benton County, whatever. They have their next appointment is 45 days. I'm gonna go to Morrison County and get it to 35. Does that happen a lot too?
Sometimes, but what we hear, and I feel like this makes us a little more client-friendly to our veterans, is I called so-and-so county, and they can't get me in, and I don't want to go there, and they didn't listen to what I had to say. And then I say to myself, are we customer service oriented? I think we are, because they're calling us and they're saying, we've heard good things, we want to come there. We want you to help us. But, we help the amount of people we can. So clearly, I think every day, our schedules are very full and the walk-ins come as well. We get about 10 walk-ins a day. That's not including phone calls. So we help every veteran one at a time.
And then I think this will be my final question. I'll let somebody else speak. Luann, congratulations on your retirement going out. So
Thank
I
you.
guess you're, what is it, a week, 2 weeks left or something like
Yep.
that? So again, we appreciate your service. We appreciate everything you do here. Do you keep track of Luann? Okay, she's 0.75, and that's based on hours per week, I'm assuming, correct?
Yes.
How often does she go over that? And do we pay her overtime? Yes, no, maybe?
Luann leaves every day at 2 o'clock. She starts every morning at 8 a.m. We've offered different layouts. Did you want maybe a longer day and do it 3 days a week? She does help those customers that come in. Does she stay a few extra? She does. But does she maybe take a lunch when maybe she doesn't need to take a lunch? So we compensate those small minutes here and there. So she's a awesome worker. She's trained 2 veteran service officers, in my opinion, Kathy Marshik and myself, and the knowledge that she has is going to be missed. And so her dedication and everything she does for veterans, it is completely noticed, and this entire community is going to be sad that she's leaving, to include myself.
And I lied about my last question. When did they have, again, Luann, maybe you can help, the 3/4 position? Is that something that you requested, or is that just something over the years? I don't remember, when even Paul Franzik was here, that was still.
Paul created the position at 3/4 time because he told me that was the minimum to get benefits at 30. So then he could offer it with benefits. And creating a position new, he, at the time with the board, didn't feel comfortable in making it a full-time. But he thought he could get by with the board approval at a 0.75, giving that employee county benefits, and that has worked for us. But it is totally busy, absolutely. It is I've been there 20 years, and this is the busiest the office has been, absolutely.
Thank you for that. Gentlemen, again, if you want to move on, do you have any questions or comments?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Johnson.
you know, if we go back 20 years, I don't even want to create where we are today. But if we go back 20 years, perhaps, very clearly, the three-quarter time position that Paul requested at the time and got was exactly what Paul needed at the time. We are not 20 years ago. We are 20 years forward. We are today. We know, we just heard it, what goes on in that office we heard it in about 7 minutes from Chris, what goes on in that office in an 8 or a 10 or a 12 or a 24-hour period, doesn't make any difference. It's not 20 years ago. The request that I'm seeing or hearing today is to obviously make that position a full-time position, to change Jim's position to whatever the terminology just was, in order to be able to gain access so he can serve further our veterans that are out there today, whether they are Morrison County veterans or, as the commissioner spoke, just as a term, Todd County's veterans. It doesn't make any difference where they're from, and I'm very clear on that. This is, to me, is going to be just a no-brainer, just so we're on the right page. I absolutely support this.
Gentlemen, if you have no questions or comments, let's please move forward.
All right.
All righty, the budget slide. These are the impacts that we came up with, and I appreciate the HR department and all of their help so we can make sure we get some numbers correct. So it's in a table. The job titles are up on the top line. We have the administrative 1, which is the seat 1. We'd like to change that to the assistant CVSO 1 and the case aide to the ACVSO 2. And it was explained to me that the 2 is higher level, so we do not want this to be a case aide. We want it to be an ACVSO 2. And so that's where that came from. And you can see the second line, the full-time employee, is pretty self-explanatory. Now let's talk about possibly the base salary. So what we have approved in the budget on the first column is we have the $59,658. And with Luann departure, she was maxed out and she was at the highest step. And so I look at that range and I say, okay, the potential could be 50,000 new person, or is it an internal? We don't know if it's going to be an internal new employee because we have to open it up, and we're going to open it up internally. And so we're not sure, so we did the range between 50,000 and 58,000 and change. But if we look at the case aid, which that's what it's called today, the top of the scale is the 59, just right there, like that's what we said. And then we scoot over here. We have the new SOAR totals, because SOAR has just been into play. This is December 1st. I forgot the date that all the job titles have changed. But that's where we grab the numbers 55,303 to the high end of 64,000. And as it was explained to me, with a little bit of my help, because this was a class, the differences are pretty light. So the savings over time is going to be about $13,224. So the impact is $4,716. So that is the impact on the budget, as I understand it to be correct.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, I was just looking.
Yeah, so this is like, it seems interesting, but at the end of the day, based on where Luann is at the scale, which she's currently a step 11, which is the top end of the scale, and where Jim is, and he is currently, I believe, a step 8. We don't know if there's gonna be an internal move, as Chris just elaborated, but the county could increase this position from a 0.75 to a 1.0 and actually realize a cost savings to the budget for 2025, because the 2025 budgeted Luann at the top end of the scale for that position. And although 0.75 conversion to 1.0 is an increase of hours from 1,560 a year to 2,080, the decrease in hourly salary or hourly rate, the department would realize a savings for 2025. That is the assumption of Jim doesn't change his position and we bring in somebody in Luann's position at the front end of the scale, which the board knows the department head has the authority to hire at a midpoint, and based on skills and experience to go past that, it's very rare. So it's unlikely that somebody would come into the position at the rate of pay that Luann would have realized in 2025. So that's why you can change it from 0.75 to 1.0 and see a savings. And then if the same practice is applied to the admin assistant one, converting or restructuring to an ACVSO one, which would go from a grade 2 to a grade 3, that same rule in theory would apply if Jim would either move on somewhere else or would apply for that position. And so there's a rubric in here, and that's why you see ranges of what we expect to see within the budget. And the bottom line is will the county have an increased cost to that 0.25 and from the grade 2 to the grade 3? Yes, but I don't think the county realizes that increase until 4 or 5 years based on the cost savings of the salary rate of pay. I don't know if that was any more clear, but with the movement in a very small office, that's why this sort of phenomenon happens.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Mayor.
so when you look at the right column, it says 50, 177 to 58, is that on the grade scale?
That's right. That's the entry and top end.
And that's going from, is that, you said from a 2 to a 3?
Correct.
Then how come they're getting paid more now than they are with the next scale?
Yeah, I saw that too, Commissioner. That includes the taxes and para in the 59. I don't think it includes it in the 58.
Is that what you think it is?
Is that something?
How
we'll
much
put-
is para and
Yeah, I can
add to it?
try to get that sorted out pretty quick here. And one more just little caveat, way at the bottom, you see the cafeteria, and the range is 3,300 to 35,800.
Yeah.
That goes from, right, that goes from somebody who does the opt-out and gets a opt-out stipend monthly for the healthcare, or if we brought in somebody brand new, that would take the family plan, the increase in cost to the benefits. So-
And may I add? Veterans, when they come in, we do have a large veteran community, and a lot of them have TRICARE or Veteran Healthcare or CHAMP VA. These are 3 veteran healthcare programs that are veteran-centric, so it gives them the opportunity to opt out at that 3,300 versus going to the high end of 35,000. Does that make sense?
The cafeteria plan, that represents you 3, correct?
We all choose to opt out, yes.
Yeah. It doesn't have to do anything with the people that come to see you.
No,
No,
right.
no.
No,
Okay.
that's that's the healthcare. So the additional costs there to the salary, base salary, those numbers on the 50,000, 58,000 range should be increased by about $6,000.
And then the total increase impact of the budget is that the 12,000 or the 5,000?
Could see a $12,000 decrease,
Okay, or 5,000.
or at the most projected a 5,000 increase. And that's the assumption that we're not gonna get somebody on a $35,000 family plan. That's the one assumption that is made through this, which we don't have a whole lot of control over what an employee chooses for healthcare.
Commissioner Blaine, do you have something?
So I make sure I understand correctly, if these 2 positions are being changed like that, so will will Jim be required to reapply for that position? Or are we literally changing his position with him in it? obviously we have we're going to have an open position, when she retires here in a couple weeks. But we're changing the second in command here. Is that position then posted and opened again and applied for? Or are we just changing that, title? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think so. So, 2 years ago, we had a couple positions within Health and Human Services that were restructured based on the change in the duties. So if you segregate these two roles, so one is gonna become vacated because of her retirement. And then we'll sort that out. We'll post that internal, we'll see who applies, we'll hire against it. Regardless if Jim remains in his position or not, based on the functions and roles of that position, that restructure would not require him to reapply for that position he's currently in if he elects to stay in it, based on the change in the functions. So he would then, that position then would require the person to be a veteran as well as to become accredited, so they have access to this additional training and services.
Okay, and so, and I don't, I don't have any problem with that, Jim, or anything like that with, if I just want to make sure that I'm clear on my understanding of this. So we're just literally changing the classification of that position, basically, in here. That does change his earning potential. And we recognize that, but we recognize that within the numbers that we have in front of us with the budget, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, the first thing that changes, Commissioner Blaine, is the function of the position.
Without a doubt.
And in the current function of the position, that role of an admin assistant is not allowed access
Yep.
to some of the systems and training that now is required for the additional help to the office. Then, once the function changes, it drives a reclassification. And when we had DDA classify that position,
Exactly.
it would go from a 2 to a 3.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
that budgeted in the process?
It was not. Neither one of these was budgeted for 2025. We didn't forecast the retirement, but both can be absorbed as laid out.
And so if I may, Mr. Chair, so in the bottom right corner there, that the $12,600 savings or the $5,300 cost, is the variable of where the individual that fills her position comes in with level of experience, training, technical, all of that. But that 5,300 is we're making an assumption there. And this is where I want to make sure that we're clear on this and we're transparent. We're making an assumption at $5,300 that the person that comes in to fill her shoes is not going to opt into our healthcare plan and take the family plan. Because if they do, that number grows exponentially, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And then that other piece on that 5,300 increase, the likelihood of realizing that is, I have to show the board, we show the board everything. I mean, this would be like a neighboring county VSO who was retiring and wanted to come in and take a step down, that would come in with 20 years of skills and experience to match where Luann is leaving. And the chances of that, I don't see that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think that this could be an attractive position for someone internally, or this could be a great opportunity from someone from the general public to come in and serve the county residents here too. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear and transparent with the numbers out there, and I am. Now, I have one more question, Mr. Chair, and that is, so within the department budget, when it comes to training and conferences, you had mentioned in the past that you would be the one who would go to the trainings, and then you would come back and train your staff on that. Now, if everything would be approved to make this move, then Jim would also be able to go to the trainings and that too. Do you take into account the potential or the plan for an increase in education and training within your department's budget on this?
Yes, Commissioner. We are authorized, because I completed some training that was mandatory to get what they call a MN CVSO grant every year. And that is a $10,000 grant. It's been going on for a few years. You have the authorization to use it for memberships and training and homelessness and marketing. And so we can absorb that cost and cover training for the first year, second year. This grant has been going on every year. It's an annual $10,000 grant.
Fantastic. Mr. Chair, if I may.
Sure, please.
I have to share the fact that I have a number of constituents who've, and I'll say friends of mine, friends that I went to high school with, that chose the path to serve in the military. And when I seen in one of the earlier slides about the impact of the PACT Act that came and resonated really, really hard with me. I have residents in my district, and I know there are others across the county who have spoken to me about finally having some recognition of the risks and the service that these individuals took part in serving our country. And for a lot of these individuals who are younger than my age or younger, and shared stories with me of the fact that they're losing colleagues due to cancer and due to other physical conditions that they strongly believe, if not have been proven, to be due to exposure while serving, whether it's been in Iraq, other points in the Middle East, or in other areas around the world. We finally have the federal government willing to step forward and provide some recognition in the form of health care and benefits to these individuals. And I think we have a responsibility to these residents of our county and of the state of Minnesota that we do what we can, and we do all that we can to make sure that there's access for these individuals. And so, Mr. Chair, with all that being said, and with the experience that I've had with a number of these veterans, both male and female, younger than me, older than me, Mr. Chair, I'm going to make a motion that we approve this. We approve these changes, I will say, that have been presented to us within that veterans office. We will not focus on the dollars in the corner, and we know that there are variables, but we will focus, as we always do as an organization, that we will hire and find the best talent that we can to fill positions within our organization to serve the people of Morrison County. Mr. Chair, that's my motion.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
For language, to clarify, Commissioner Blaine proposed that you're making a motion to approve a VSO restructure from a .75 KSAID to a 1.0 ACVSO 2, and in restructure from admin specialist 1 to ACVSO 1.
Couldn't say it better than that.
Did a lot less words, too.
Yeah.
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
All right. Anyway, before we go into the motion in a second, the question I have is, with this grade, this is your 2.5 years, and congratulations to that too, Chris, where's time to go? Would have this something come about regardless of Luann's retirement, that you wanted maybe Jim to have access, or Luann to get to Hollier to get these forms? Is that something?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
if I may. When Chris was hired on almost 2.5 years ago, she wasn't here that long, and I would say about
5 days.
5 days. And she came to me, and she said, Matt, I need help. And I said, Chris, you're not even certified yet. I said, why don't you get here, get your feet underneath you, get accredited, get fully certified and accredited to do the position, all the while we and the board approved Jim working out of class and performing the role of a CVSO as a credentialed CVSO for a year while Chris got credentialed. The year came and she was back in. She said, here I am. You told me to wait a year. We're still overwhelmed. And I said, well, congratulations. You just got credentialed. Why don't you try that on for a little bit here? And so we've done that for about 2 years. And 3-4 months ago, she was back and with possibilities of transition within the office. And I said, well, when that comes up, then let's come before the board and lay it out very clearly on why the demand is there. So I stretched her as long as I could, Mr. Chair. She recognized it early on, and I was reluctant to allow her to come before the board.
And I remember those conversations about you getting credentialed and that sort of moving on, so, and I see this here because, again, taking Luann by what she mentioned, that you're overwhelmed. I mean, these are things that, and that's why I said you go beyond the 2 hours, and we know that, with a 3/4 and that. I just want to clarify the 12,647 possible savings. That's like maybe 3,000 a year, is that what we're looking at as far, because you say 4 to 5 years?
No, that'd be realized the first year, Mr. Chair.
Oh, so it would be.
It depends on where that person comes in on the scale. We could see that.
That's per year, okay.
But it'll catch up then, once that earning potential is adjusted.
All right. Well, we have a.
Second.
We have a motion. Commissioner Jelinski already.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? This will be a roll call. Commissioner Jelinski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lemire.
Aye.
Casper.
Aye.
Blaine.
Aye.
Myself is aye. Motion carried. Thank you for the information, Luann. Again, congratulations on
Yeah,
time well
enjoy
served.
retirement.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wish you the best.
We would like to have a big fancy cake and invite the entire government center on the 12th at lunchtime down to the cafeteria area. We will push that out in the future.
Very good.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Luann, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Three Musketeers.
Hopefully we'll see you before.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, good discuss this.
I had to quit picking on you. That'd be the New Year's resolution.
All right, let's,
No.
anything else, Mr. Administrator?
Concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
All right. Our administrator's assistant, what is our dates?
December 7th through December 20th.
7th through the 20th. Commissioner Casper, I'm gonna put you on the spot this time. What do you have for us?
Oh, wow. Okay, 7th is clear, but there is the AMC meeting next week, the 8th, 9th, or I should say 9th, 10th, 11th. I'm not sure if I'm gonna attend that.
But you're correct on that.
Yeah,
And that's down in Bloomington, I believe, right?
that's correct. And also, depending if I go there or not, Tuesday, the 10th, I have a community development meeting at noon. And there is a PC Bowl meeting that evening at 6. Then, jumping over to Thursday, the 12th, there's a truth and taxation meeting that evening. I will have to skip out at 18:30, the Camp Ripley Veterans Trail meeting over in Little Falls. I'm gonna have to skip that in order to be at Truth and Taxation. Luann Jarvis's retirement party is the 13th over at the VFW from 16:30 to 18:30. And then on the 17th, we have a county board meeting. And I believe cannabis is gonna be part of the discussions there. And I'm gonna jump over to Thursday, the 19th. I have a meeting over in Malacca, at their county building, Mille Lacs County, at 4:30, Rum River Watershed.
Bobby, what was the cannabis one you said?
I have written on the 17th, is that correct?
No.
So,
Yeah.
so we had the public hearing for the ordinance last Tuesday. Today, we have the public hearing following this regarding registration, and on the 17th, the board will consider adoption of those ordinances at that board meeting,
Within our board meeting?
within the
Okay.
board meeting.
In the board meeting.
Yes, thanks for asking, Mike.
No,
The only other thing is Friday, the 20th, 10 o'clock, Mississippi Headwater Board, Walker, Minnesota.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Blaine?
I want to make note of the fact that next week on Tuesday, we're not having a planning session because of AMC, but I have that planning session got moved to Thursday morning, and I'm not sure if,
That's what I have
Yeah.
written down too.
If-
8:30.
I missed that.
yeah, but, so I just want to make sure that.
That's correct.
It did, 8:30 in the morning.
Yep, so we're having planning on Thursday, we got truth and taxation, all
Thank
this
you, Greg.
all these other things. I believe Tabitha, I would have to contact you. We can plan for it, that there would be an Egg Society meeting. We would be in line to have Egg Society meeting on the 19th. I'm gonna check into that. I need to make a call anyway. If I find out that that is different, because sometimes in December that is changed. So I will check into that. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask, though, I know we're going outside of our date line here, ask our administrator, though, what our thoughts are, looking ahead to the 24th of December, which obviously is Christmas Eve. Is this board planning to have a planning session on that day, or will, in an attempt to look at scheduling for our holiday month, can we plan that we will not have a meeting on that day, or is there, or what is the thoughts?
Mr. Chair, when the board schedule went out last year in January, the 24th was not included for a board or planning session, as well as recognized holiday at the government center. So there's no plan to meet on that Tuesday.
The government center is open for business that day, or is not, on Christmas Eve?
closed.
It is closed on Christmas Eve.
Okay, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, that is all I have, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Commissioner Lemire?
Oh, geez, February 7th. The Yellow Ribbon Committee meeting on the 12th, but I will not be able to make that. Sorry, Matt. 19th, Safety Committee meeting, Pierce Conference Room, 2 o'clock. And then you guys got all the other stuff for me.
Okay, thank you for that. And I just want to clarify, Commissioner Casper brought it up. On Tuesday night, the 10th, there is no planning commission applications, but there is 2 Board of Adjustment applications that evening. So that's,
Both Bobbies.
yep,
Yeah.
they're both in Bobby's, so. Thank you,
They did that for you.
On the 10th?
Exactly. On the 10th, yeah, there's no planning commission, just Board of Adjustments. And since I'm going, I might as well, other additional that, on the 19th, I have a 5:30 TCC meeting. And that's it. Commissioner Jelinski, what do you have for us?
Thank you, Commissioner. As Commissioner Casper said, AMC is having their annual conference. I will be attending that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll be leaving on Sunday, the 8th. I also have on the 13th, 10 o'clock in the morning, I've got a virtual meeting, Central Minnesota RAC meets. And at same time, 10 o'clock in the morning, the EMS Joint Powers Board meets in Stearns County. I won't be attending the virtual meeting, but I will be attending the EMS Joint Powers Board meeting, which will be the last meeting for the year for that. Okay, and I move to here. I think we need to state that we have got a holiday gathering at the administrator's residence on the 17th, or that there is a holiday gathering at the administrator's residence on the 17th. And on the 18th, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I have a Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board meeting. That's virtual. Excuse me, that is not. That's in the city of St. Cloud. At 5 o'clock that evening, there is a Hands of Hope meeting. That is virtual. And on the 19th, 12:30 in the afternoon, the State Emergency Communications Board meets. That is a virtual meeting that I will be attending, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Anything else, gentlemen? If there's nothing else, we will adjourn at 9:52.
Cool.